Adrien Broner has just been rushed to the hospital. According to sources close to the fighter, he's in critical condition, and the silence surrounding the situation is deafening. No full statement has been released, no press conference, no explanation. But those who followed Broner's career knew something had been wrong for a long time. The flamboyant fighter, who once promised to be better than Floyd, has spiraled for years, from championship belts to jail cells, from millions of dollars to public meltdowns. This isn't just another boxing headline. This might be the end of one of the sport's most chaotic and tragic stories. In this video, we're diving deep into the rise, fall, and silent collapse of Adrien Broner, and exploring the disturbing truth that might explain what really happened behind closed doors. Adrien Broner, once known as the Problem, is now facing a problem no one anticipated. Reports have confirmed that the former four-division boxing champion has been rushed to the hospital and is currently in critical condition. Though the details are scarce, the situation is real, and it's serious. What's striking is not just the silence from his camp or the lack of a statement from family, but the eerie sense that this wasn't as sudden as it seems. Adrien Broner has been spiraling for years, and this tragic chapter may be the result of 1,000 ignored warnings. To understand how we got here, you have to rewind the tape, because behind the flash, behind the grills and chains and loud interviews, Broner's story was always a fragile one. From the start, he was fighting not just opponents in the ring, but demons outside of it. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, in 1989, Broner grew up in a rough neighborhood surrounded by poverty, crime, and chaos. He started boxing at age 6, not just as a sport, but as a lifeline. He often told reporters that boxing saved him from the streets. By the time he turned professional in 2008, Adrien wasn't just good, he was electric. He had speed, power, confidence, and charisma. He fought like he had something to prove, and early on, he delivered. Knockout after knockout, win after win, Broner climbed the ranks at lightning speed. In 2011, he captured his first world title, the WBO Super Featherweight belt. The next few years saw him become a multi-division champion, moving up weight classes like they were stepping stones. HBO promoted him heavily. Floyd Mayweather Jr. anointed him as the next big thing. Fans were split. Some loved his brash persona, others hated it, but no one could ignore him. For a moment, Adrien Broner looked like boxing's future. But even in the midst of his rise, cracks were forming. His behavior outside the ring began drawing as much attention as his skills inside it. He'd post bizarre videos, get into club fights, and make headlines for all the wrong reasons. Then came the legal issues: assault allegations, arrests, civil lawsuits. What should have been warning signs were brushed off as antics, part of his bad boy brand. But those signs were pointing to something deeper. Broner was unraveling in real time. And now, in a hospital room under critical care, the consequences of years of turmoil may finally be crashing down on him. The boxing world once thought Adrien Broner was the second coming of Floyd Mayweather. He had the undefeated record, the flashy lifestyle, the trash talk, and the talent. But unlike Floyd, Adrien didn't have the discipline or the team around him to pull him back when things went too far. Broner's in-ring talent was never the issue. He could slip punches with ease, counter like a sniper, and close distance with incredible speed. But his focus was inconsistent. And by the mid-2010s, his performances started reflecting that. He began losing the big fights. His loss to Marcos Maidana in 2013 was a brutal wake-up call. He was knocked down twice, bullied for 12 rounds, and walked out of the ring in tears. But instead of regrouping and learning, Broner doubled down on the distraction. Between 2014 and 2017, Broner bounced between weight classes, fought tough contenders, and managed a few wins. But the old spark was gone. His fights went from must-watch events to cautionary tale. Outside the ring, he was still living like a rock star. Private jets, Instagram rants, strip clubs, lawsuits. There were more mugshots than training videos. The boxing community began whispering what no fighter wants to hear: wasted talent. He was offered big opportunities, like the 2019 bout against Manny Pacquiao, but he didn't rise to the occasion. He threw fewer punches, moved less, less, talked more. He lost, and afterward, during the post-fight interview, he insisted he won. It wasn't bravado, it was denial. That denial carried into his personal life. By 2020, Broner was reportedly broke. He posted desperate videos online, asking Al Heyman and Showtime for advances. He claimed to have only $13 in his bank account while facing multiple lawsuits. Then, in 2021, he was arrested again, this time for probation violations and refusing court-mandated counseling. The man who once stood in the ring with belts on both shoulders now stood in courtrooms with cuffs on both wrists, and still, no one around him stepped in. The entourage had shrunk, the fans had faded. The only thing growing was the list of problems Adrien Broner was running from, and now, those problems have finally caught up. By 2022, Adrien Broner had effectively become a ghost of his former self. He was still technically active in boxing, still teasing comebacks, still claiming greatness was just around the corner. But everyone could see it. He wasn't the same fighter or the same man. Training camps were inconsistent. Scheduled fights were canceled last minute. In one heartbreaking example, Broner pulled out of a Showtime headliner just days before the event, citing mental health issues. It was a rare moment of vulnerability for a man who'd always worn bravado like armor. He posted on Instagram saying, "I'm going through a lot at this moment in my life, but I ain't giving up." The message was honest, but also haunting, because despite acknowledging his struggle, Broner didn't slow down. He still popped up in viral videos, drunk and ranting, often alone. His speech was slurred, his eyes were hollow. Once, he appeared on a live stream visibly intoxicated, crying, shouting about betrayal, broken friendships, and loneliness. It wasn't entertainment, it was a cry for help. But as with many celebrities, especially fighters, the world laughed. Memes were made, interviews ignored the warning signs, and the people closest to him, they either couldn't or wouldn't intervene. There were more fights, more court dates, more controversies. At one point, Broner even promised a comeback documentary, something that would explain everything, show the world his side. It never came. And behind the scenes, sources say he was losing touch with reality. Coaches stopped answering calls, promoters grew hesitant, sponsors pulled back, and Broner, he just kept spiraling. Until now, until the hospitalization, until the emergency. As we sit in silence waiting for updates, the world is beginning to realize what it ignored for years. Adrien Broner wasn't just a wild personality, he was a man in pain. And maybe, just maybe, he was hoping someone would notice before it was too late. As Adrien Broner's career hit turbulence, so did his public life. Headlines no longer praised his boxing skill. They chronicled his disturbing spiral. In 2016, footage of Broner threatening people with guns and boasting about shooting someone went viral. He later claimed it was all entertainment, but fans weren't laughing. Just a year later, Broner was arrested in Kentucky for an outstanding warrant tied to a 2014 robbery. Then came accusations of assault in nightclubs, gambling debts, and unpaid jewelry tabs. The chaos was no longer just outside the ring. It was eating away at his life from every angle. One of the most haunting moments came in 2017 when Broner posted a series of cryptic messages on Instagram suggesting suicidal thoughts. "I don't want to be here no more," he wrote. "I'm going home tonight. I love y'all." He then posted a video of himself driving at high speeds, swerving through traffic. Fans and friends scrambled to locate him. He survived, but the message was clear. Broner was crying out for help, and no one could deny it anymore. Legal troubles piled up. In 2018, he was sued for allegedly groping a woman in a Cleveland nightclub. The court ordered him to pay damages, which he didn't. Then, in 2020, Broner was jailed for contempt after failing to pay the settlement. He told the judge he only had $13 in his account, but was caught on Instagram flashing cash just days earlier. The judge wasn't amused. These weren't isolated incidents. Broner's behavior had become a pattern. Outbursts, arrests, apologies, and relapse. Every new mugshot chipped away at what remained of his legacy. The boxer who once called himself the Problem was now seen as a man with too many problems to count, and no one left to bail him out. By 2021, Broner claimed he was ready to turn things around. He promised a comeback, declaring he had cleaned up his act. His social media feeds began to show training montages again. He posted videos of early morning runs, heavy bag workouts, and motivational speeches. Fans who had all but written him off were curious. Could the problem actually solve his own? The comeback fight was set against Giovanni Santiago. Broner scraped by with a controversial decision win. Many critics said he had lost the fight. Others said he looked sluggish and mentally absent. And while Broner celebrated the win as the start of a new chapter, the truth was clear. The fire that once made him special was flickering, not roaring. In post-fight interviews, Broner slurred his speech and rambled off topic. He spoke about money problems, mental health, and not having nobody. His honesty was rare, but it was also disturbing. "I'm still fighting demons," he admitted. "They just don't let up." Behind the gloves, he was still a man in pain, and boxing no longer seemed like the medicine it once was. Worse, his attempts to book more fights kept falling apart. Promoters didn't trust him to show up. Training camps were interrupted. Lawsuits, arrests, and psychological breakdowns overshadowed every announcement. In 2022, Broner canceled a major comeback fight just weeks before the date, citing mental health struggle. Fans supported the decision, but insiders whispered he wasn't just mentally struggling, he was physically falling apart too. Then came rehab, then relapse, then rumors of homelessness. And yet, Broner remained online, posting incoherent rants, begging for promoters to give him one more chance. It was a sad contrast to the sharp, witty, and confident man who once captivated press conferences. The comeback never came. The magic was gone. By early 2024, Broner had all but vanished from the public eye. No fights were announced. His management team stopped responding to inquiries, and his social media, once a non-stop stream of bravado, went eerily quiet. Those closest to him reported he'd been holed up in a Las Vegas hotel for weeks. Some said he was broke. Others claimed he was battling substance abuse and depression. But no one knew for sure, because no one could get close to him anymore. Then, out of nowhere, came the news. Adrien Broner had been rushed to the hospital. The words "critical condition" appeared in TMZ headlines, then ESPN, then everywhere. No official cause was given. Some speculated it was a drug overdose. Others said it was a cardiac issue. A few former teammates feared it was self-inflicted. All that was confirmed was that Broner had been found unconscious, alone, and unresponsive. He was placed in intensive care. Tubes, machines, monitors. A man who once lit up arenas was now kept alive by wires and beeping signals. The boxing world went silent. Fellow fighters posted vague prayers. Promoters issued generic statements. No one seemed surprised, but everyone was heartbroken. The same people who once laughed at his antics now watched in horror, unsure if they were witnessing the end of a fighter or the end of a man lost in the shadows of fame, trauma, and regret. And all those old videos of young Adrien dancing in the locker room, rapping at pressers, knocking out opponents with ease, now felt like echoes of someone long gone. At the height of his career, Adrien Broner's life was a highlight reel of indulgence. He didn't just live like a star, he lived like a king. The man had a fleet of luxury vehicles: Rolls-Royce Phantoms, Bentleys, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, you name it. Broner's obsession with image was undeniable. He'd often take to Instagram, showing off cash stacks, diamond chains, or custom interior detailing inside his vehicle. His favorite phrase was "about billions," and he made sure his followers believed he was living it. But behind that display was an increasingly fragile reality. One of Broner's most talked about properties was his sprawling mansion in Atlanta. Multiple rooms, a built-in theater, a full basketball court, high-end furniture. Broner filmed music videos in his own house. Yet in recent years, fans started noticing changes. The once vibrant home seemed empty in videos. There were fewer parties, fewer guests. Rumors swirled that Broner had quietly put the mansion up for sale. Others said he had to downsize after hemorrhaging cash. Meanwhile, his car collection shrank too. He stopped posting new cars, and several older models began appearing in online auctions. Some fans theorized the flashy lifestyle had bled him dry. According to several online court documents, Broner admitted under oath that he had less than $13 in his bank account at one point, just a few years removed from being a multimillionaire. What's most tragic isn't that he had to part with cars or homes. It's what those things symbolized for him. Broner had built an empire around the illusion of success. When that illusion cracked, so did the foundation of his public persona. He no longer bragged in the same way. The confidence turned to bitterness. Even his own fans noticed the shift. He doesn't look like AB anymore, one commenter wrote under a video of him training in a small, rundown gym. That's not the guy who walked out with Mayweather. The fall wasn't just financial, it was personal. Adrien Broner has fathered multiple children, and for years he made them part of his public image. He would frequently post photos and videos of himself spending time with them, at theme parks, buying expensive gifts, or simply goofing off at home. At times, he appeared genuinely committed to being a present father. But the deeper his life spiraled into chaos, the harder it became to maintain that image. Behind the scenes, Broner's family life grew more complicated. While he's kept many details private, court filings and offhand remarks have pointed to legal disputes, custody disagreements, and child support issues. One of the most public breakdowns occurred during a 2018 live stream where Broner, clearly intoxicated, went on a rambling rant about not being allowed to see one of his children. He blamed the mother, he blamed the system, but the pain was unmistakable. What stung the most was the contrast. This was a man who once had enough money to fly his entire family to Disney World on a whim. Now he was on social media, spiraling in real time, blaming everyone around him for the growing distance between himself and his children. In one heartbreaking interview, he admitted, "I made it to give my kids a better life, but I fucked it all up trying to be something I'm not." Sources close to him say Broner's lifestyle became too unstable for consistent co-parenting. His constant travel, unpredictable behavior, and public controversies made it difficult to maintain trust with the mothers of his children, and that took a toll, not just on his relationships, but on his mental health. Friends say Adrien would go quiet for weeks, isolating himself in hotel rooms, drinking heavily, sometimes missing scheduled calls with his kids. In the end, the fame and fortune that were supposed to secure a future for his family ended up costing him time with them. And when your children stop seeing you as a superhero, no amount of jewelry or money can bring that magic back. Once touted as one of the richest young stars in boxing, Adrien Broner's net worth today is a shadow of what it once was. At his peak, Broner was reportedly worth over $10 million. That included fight purses, endorsement deals, performance bonuses, and earnings from club appearances and sponsored posts. He rubbed shoulders with Mayweather, flirted with the world of music, and seemed untouchable. But today, some estimates suggest his net worth has dipped below $1 million, and even that might be generous. In 2021, Broner was ordered by the court to pay hundreds of thousands in damages to a woman involved in an assault case. When he claimed he couldn't pay, the judge demanded proof. That's when Broner shocked the world by showing up with financial statements that revealed just how dire his situation was. No luxury cars, no massive homes, just a man who had once been on top, now begging for leniency. He was forced to fight not for belts, but for paychecks. Broner signed with smaller promotions just to keep money coming in. He took fights with questionable opponents. He was out of shape. Fans began labeling his performances as sad, sloppy, and unrecognizable. The man who once demanded $10 million just to lace up gloves now looked like he was fighting just to survive. As of now, Adrien Broner lives modestly. He still flashes bits of wealth, chains, cars, new outfits, but insiders say much of it is borrowed or promotional. He reportedly rents most of his properties now and moves often. One person close to him said, "AB lives like a millionaire, but it's all smoke. The money's not there anymore." And that's the final tragedy. Broner had it all: the talent, the charisma, the earnings, the platform. But somewhere along the way, the fame became a curse, and the man known as the problem couldn't solve the one thing that mattered most: himself. As of today, Adrien Broner Broner lies in a hospital bed, the world unsure if he'll ever get up and fight again, literally or metaphorically. Sources claim he's in critical condition, and while the full details remain under wraps, it's a somber reminder of how far he's fallen. The once cocky kid from Cincinnati, who told reporters he'd be bigger than Floyd Mayweather, is now being kept alive by machines, surrounded by silence instead of fans, nurses instead of teammates. And yet, there's still a heartbeat, because if Adrien Broner is anything, it's a survivor. He's made comebacks that seemed impossible. He's defied expectations when the world was ready to forget him. And maybe, just maybe, he can do it again. Not with a viral knockout or a flashy car, but with something far harder: humility, reflection, change. If he walks out of that hospital, it won't be to claim a belt. It'll be to reclaim a life. And if he doesn't, then this becomes more than just a boxing story. It becomes a cautionary tale about what happens when talent meets ego, when success meets immaturity, and when no one around you dares to say no. The problem wasn't his opponents. The problem was never the judges or the promoters. The problem was Adrien Broner. But maybe, even now, it's not too late to fix it.